Near mint condition, the home of collected editions.
That cover's so awesome.
Absolute format is the best way to own this store. Time to empty those wallets and fill those shelves. What's up, all you minties? Uncanny Omar here from Near Mint Condition, the home of collected editions. And join me today for my overview of the Scalped Omnibus Volume 1 from DC Comics. Let's go ahead and take a look at this book together. Alright, what we're looking at here is the very first Scalped Omnibus. I've seen the pictures that they have out there. I think they're just a placeholder image. It's the one by Jock from the very first issue, or I guess the first trade, or the first deluxe edition. But this is the actual cover to the Omnibus right here by R.M. Guera. And here you have the DC Black Label line. Originally, this was published as a Vertigo line. And I mentioned deluxe editions. This was available in deluxe edition format. As a matter of fact, as we're looking at the spine, here it is compared to the 5 deluxe editions. What this contains is about 2.5 deluxe editions. So the rest of the comics will be collected in Omnibus Volume 2. But yes, these have been out of print for a while. Oh, I guess they didn't use that image that they're using there on the spine for Volume 1 of the deluxe. I guess it was just the trade paperback. Yes, so these have, I want to say, most of these are now out of print, so people were waiting on a deluxe edition reprint. But instead, we got 2 Omnis. No word yet of a compendium for the whole series. But yes, this was originally released in single issues, then trades, and then, of course, these deluxe. But let's shift the focus back to this. You have Jason Aaron, R.M. Guera, and Julia Brusco there. Scalped Omnibus Volume 1, this image by Jock. Go back to the very front here, Scalped Omnibus Volume 1. Here are your main characters like Dash there, and a couple of others, and then this other image by Jock. And a little bit about the book, and what it contains. And this is definitely rated mature, because, well, yeah, once I talk about the book and the stories in here, yeah, you can see for yourself why it's rated mature. Now, underneath the dust jacket, there's that image that I'm sure you've seen as the image for the omnibus. You have your flaps over here. Nothing really on the left-hand side besides that image. On the right-hand side, you have a bio on Jason Aaron and Rashko Milosvec Guera, or R.M. Guera, and Jock and Julia Brusco. And then underneath the dust jacket, the art on board is this image by Jock. And the scalped spine right there, looking a little bit different, the colors, than the one on the actual dust jacket right here in the DC logo, and that crow up there are colored different, and then the back of the book right here. So we are going to open this up, and I'm going to give you the pitch of the story. And again, mature content, like violence, sexual content, language, all of the goodies that make up mature content. Just letting people know ahead of time if you can't stomach any of that stuff. But yeah, and then we'll look at the extras in the back of the book here, and the build, of course. All right, let's go ahead and get this book opened. And there's your end sheets right here. And Scalped Omnibus Volume 1. And your credits. So you have Jason Aaron that wrote the entire thing. R.M. Guera. John Paul Leon, David Furno, and Francesco Francavilla helping in some of the chapters here. Julia Brusco and Lee Lufridge helping for chapters 1 through 5 as the colorists. Steve Wands and Phil Balsman are the letters there. And Jock supplying the covers for the most part with, I think, okay, Dave Johnson doing chapter 12, and then Tim Bradstreet doing 18 through 20. And it is created by R.M. Guera and Jason Aaron. So you have a forward here. This is from Volume 3, or Volume 4, Gravel in Your Guts, from Ed Brubaker. And then your introduction here by Jason Aaron. And I really enjoyed reading this introduction because Jason talks about when he was writing these stories, how he was working full-time, and he hadn't had a lot of his stories published. And then this came around. After doing some short stories, he pitched this idea. And the idea originally was for a Scalp Hunter modernization, like the character of Scalp Hunter, and it kind of grew into this. I love hearing stories like that. So this book collects Scalped 1 through 29. So you got half the series here. And it has 752 pages, and it retails for $75. So the story of Scalped, it all takes place in this reservation called Prairie Rose. And it is a return of a forgotten son, if you will. And man, this, even talking about the plot is a little bit rough at times, but let's see. Because I did mention it is mature theme. So the main character that you're going to be following is this character named Dashiell Bathorse. And Dash is what he's known as. Dash left this reservation of Prairie Rose about 13, 15 years before this story starts. And when he comes back as somebody that is looking for revenge for some reason. And he is distant from his mother who sent him away. So when he comes back after being gone, he is approached by the character of Lincoln Red Crow. And Lincoln Red Crow is the president of the Oglala Tribal Council. And he wants to make him a sheriff, talking about getting rid of a lot of the half-breed Indians and hoping to counteract the nativists that are protesting his new casino, the Crazy Horse Casino. So Dash agrees. There is a twist to that, though, because when Dash comes in, you see he's a complete badass. He's dealing with gang members. He's dealing with people that are just they're not a good part of this reservation. But the twist is at the very end that he is working for the FBI. He is an undercover agent for the FBI. So while he was gone, while his mother sent him away, Dash learns how to fight, how to tap into martial arts, and then eventually becomes, not just martial arts, but also like boxing, eventually becomes a FBI agent. There are other characters besides Dash and Red Crow. There's the character of Carol right here. She is Red Crow's daughter. There is the mom, Gina Bathorse, who will play a big driving force behind the first big story arcs through here. And one thing you're going to notice is that the art is gritty and almost at times dirty. And that's the way that this story feels, because you are dealing with a lot of horrible, horrible people, including the main character. It's one of those stories kind of like The Sopranos or Breaking Bad, where you find yourself kind of cheering for the villain, even though you shouldn't be, right? Like you feel a little guilty about cheering for the villain. And there is a murder mystery. So the FBI has sent him in there. All of it by this FBI agent named Nitz, who has sent Dash in here to try to investigate a murder. And they're linking it to Red Crow, saying that 30 years ago, he had killed 2 FBI agents. And they want proof of that. And that's why Dash is going undercover. And also working for Red Crow. So it kind of puts him right in the middle while trying to deal with his mom, while trying to deal with this character of Carol, who's come back into his life because both of them have had a past together since they were teenagers, right before he left. Now she is with somebody else, and her character, for lack of a better term, is enjoys sex a lot. Not just with Dash or her husband, but multiple partners. And that plays a big part in this story when Dash gets involved, because at first he's like, yeah, I don't care. And then you start to see a little bit of what seems to be jealousy. So there's other, I forgot to mention Diesel, the character that calls himself Diesel. It's Britt Fillinsworth, I think is his name, something like that. He is Gina Bathorse's boyfriend. And again, Gina is Dash's mom. There's also the character of Catcher, who is an old man that sees things. He's tapped into the spirit realm, if you will, or so he claims. And that's something that bothers the character of Granny Poor Bear. And I'll talk a little bit about the Poor Bear family here in a second. But he can see things that others can't. He can tap into the spirit realm and see their totems, if you will. avatars, I don't even know if that's the right word, but he uses the word totem in here. Actually, he uses the word spirit animal. But he can see that all that stuff, and Granny Bad Horse does not believe any of that. So there is a character, a young teenage kid named Dino Poorbear, who's trying to make a living. And it's hard to make a living. That is one thing about this book you'll see is what it's like to live in something, or in a place like this, a reservation like this. And what do people do for money if they're not dealing in drugs or illegal activities? Well, you'll see what this young man tries to do when he's working at like a meth lab, and how he tries to get his life better, and what he ends up doing. Now, one of my favorite characters throughout the book, well, I like Shunka. Shunka is like the bodyguard to the character of Red Crow. But Granny Poorbear is one of my favorite characters. She's the eldest of this family. And she seems to be about the only good person in the whole reservation camp, or the res, as they call it. And it's like, who do you trust? But that's the one person I remember thinking, okay, whatever Granny says, that's what you go and do. Now, this isn't your happy story. I will say, if you like happy endings, this may not be for you. I will say that if you like stories where it's got like, it doesn't have your Hollywood type of ending. It doesn't go in places that I thought it would go. But it goes in realistic type of places. If these people were to really exist, you can kind of see what their bad decisions lead to. And sometimes the bad decisions are awful things that happen to them. Now, later on, you do get to see flashback stories. So you'll get to see how the character of Dash ended up joining the FBI. You get to see the connection between Red Crow and Gina and what she meant to him. And then the whole murder mystery that happens in this first volume, it is solved. You find out who has done it and what it means for the rest of the story. Now, towards the back, or I think it's the last story arc that's collected in here, this is about the character of Agent Nitz. So you get to find out the background between Agent Nitz and also the character of Diesel, who at first is a character that isn't a very likable character, but he becomes a very important part of this story. Now, I will look at the back for extras, because that's pretty much the pitch. That's what this is about. And here's the back matter. So you have an introduction for the early scalped pitch by Jason Aaron. So that was the original. I guess it was when it was Scalp Hunter. And then the full script right here for issue number 1. And then you have the Scalp timeline right here. And let's not look at that because that might spoil some things. And 19 Things That Fueled Scalp by Jason Aaron. And you get some original artwork here. Not just by R.M. Guera, but also Jock. But internal pages and layouts and thumbnail sketches. And this is the omnibus cover right here. And the final cover. And then promotional art by Francesco Francavilla. And the art process. And this is an introduction by Brian K. Vaughan. That was originally printed in the Scalped Volume 1, Indian Country. And then the bio on these folks right here and your end sheets. So let's look at the binding, and then we'll do a comparison to the first deluxe. 752 pages. It is sewn binding. Not that big of an eye. I've seen bigger and I've seen smaller though. But this one does feel like it's printed in this satin type of paper, so there's just a little bit of gutter loss. So what I want to do is actually get the first volume to do a quick comparison. Alright, so let's go ahead and get to the cover here. Indian Country. This is the cover to the deluxe edition, so they do have that. And the cover to the first issue. Now, immediately the paper stock is different. I love the fact that they have the actual art process there, with nothing on the back here. But the paper stock is different because this is matte paper. on the deluxe edition, and this is that satin paper stock that they're using. And the colors just seem a lot different based on just the paper stock they're using. This looks a little bit darker, whereas the colors over here are a little bit lighter, and they seem to pop a little more. I hate using that word, but Indian Country Part 1 of 3, where it's been removed here. I wonder what that decision was made for. And then over here, just a little bit more. Yeah, I don't know. It seems like you can see a lot more because it's not as dark as over here, and that's mainly due to the paper stock that they are using. And looking at the difference in the covers, so no text on the covers, but again, a little bit lighter over here. And the difference is that in the back of the omnibus, you can see what issue you're on because it tells you the chapter number. Whereas over here, you just jump right into the story. Now, I will say not all the extras are collected from the back, like all the sketches here for the main cover. And those are done by Jock, because when you go back over here to the omnibus, you mainly get just a couple of sketches for that scalped cover. But it's mainly the artwork of R.M. Guera through here, and then Francisco Francavilla. So not a lot of, like, the cover sketches like you got in the deluxe edition. I mean, you get a lot more in the deluxe edition as to, like, the idea of what the cover sketches should look like here. Now, I don't know if that means, you know, to you, like, oh, I'm going to keep these. Or if it means, it doesn't matter. Things like that don't matter to me. But I did want to be as thorough, like, just make sure people are aware that not everything that was in the deluxe editions are collected in here. But that is it. That, as they say, is that. If you're interested in purchasing this omnibus, don't forget to check out our sponsor, cheapgraphicnovels.com, your online home for graphic novels and collected editions up to 50% off cover price. They have excellent shipping and prompt and helpful service. Check out their bargain deals for up to 90% off cover price. And don't forget that CGN also takes pre-orders. That way you don't miss out on the hottest releases. And they are currently running a special promotion for you Minties. If you're a first-time customer, after receiving your order confirmation email, reply back to that email and let them know Near Mint Condition sent you their way. They will then apply a free shipping promotional credit to your next order in the US. Cheap Graphic Novels, your source for the hottest books with the kind of deep discount, quality shipping, and customer service that will keep you coming back for more. And that was the content, the page count, and build of this book. Let me know in the comments down below if you have the deluxe edition hardcovers, if you plan on upgrading, if you've never read it because you were waiting on a deluxe edition hardcover reprint, or if you're waiting on a compendium of the whole series. If you have any questions, leave those questions down below. Don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe, and ring that bell for notifications. Everybody stay healthy and safe out there. Much love.